every 12th of August is the International Youth Day, and the theme for this year is quite interesting. It takes us back to the need for a sustainable world, talking about encouraging the youth to acquire green skills. And in the studio this morning to do justice to that and give us green empowerment, speaking about rather women and youth empowerment for green skills for the climate, is Sandra Jonathan. She is a program officer, education as a vaccine. Quite interesting. I don't know where to start this conversation, education as a vaccine, or how women and youth can be empowered through green skills. But welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good morning and welcome to ASO Morning.
Thank you.
So we'll start the first question by asking, what do you mean when you're talking about green skills? Because I know the regular, let them learn a certain kind of skills, let them learn this kind of technology skills, the different kind of skills. Then now I'm hearing green skills. So what is green skills? At least it gives us the foundation of what the conversation will be like, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. So green skills are critical components which aids in transitioning. So if we're transitioning from a normal to an eco-friendly climate situation. So those are green skills. Green skills are those skills that you need to acquire, that you need to have to be able to help you in this transitioning process to an eco-friendly climate environment.
Okay, so when we're talking about green skills, and then now we're looking at women and we're looking at empowerment, of course we know that it's a global shout for women to have more empowerment, to be, to give in terms of business, in the workplace. We're clamoring that women have more recognition, especially the role they play when you're talking about medium or small scale industries. Women have put in a lot. Are there a lot of things that people can do when you're talking of green skills? Because I understand, yes, we've reached the point where everybody needs to be conscious of the climate, everybody needs to be conscious of the environment, because half of what we as human beings are doing, it's affecting the climate.
Yes.
So we need to get to that point where we're taking care of it. If I wanted to start a job in green skin, what kind of job will I be doing? Because when I think green skills, I'm thinking, okay, maybe one of those people that go to the rivers or seas and clean out the plastic. That's just the first green skill I can think off my head. But what kind of skills should people be learning? What kind of training do they need for them to be able to say they're green skill compliant?
Okay, so thank you very much, and I'm happy that you acknowledge the fact that we humans are a great contributor to whatever climate crisis or situations that we are facing right now in Nigeria and in the world, because we contribute directly or indirectly to this climate crisis. And women and girls are mostly impacted by the negative effects of this climate crisis, and they are always at the front line of this climate emergencies. And women need to have these skills, because once there's a climate crisis, they are the first respondents. They know their environment very well, so they are able to cope, to adapt to that kind of situations. So there are skills, just like you just mentioned one, which is waste management. Those are green skills that women need to have. They have some sort of level of understanding of that, but again, do they have this, are these skills fully developed? Are they fully developed to the extent that they can boast about it and say, we are doing waste management, we're doing resources management, livestock management, renewable energy transitioning. Those are skills that women and girls need to have, because if we see most people who use energy are women and girls, we can see that in the rural context. We at the urban settings, we have like some sort of advantage, I want to use that, in terms of transitioning. But those at the rural level, do they have this opportunity? Do they have these privileges that we do have? But again, we need to take this development, we need to develop what they have already, because you could see them in terms of adaptation, in terms of transitioning. They adapt fast, they transition fast without even knowing that is what they are doing. So these green skills, they have it in them, or they practice it, but they don't really know this is it. So that is where we step in now to build their capacity, to also empower them in this some of the specific skills that I have mentioned. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I like that you said specific skills you have mentioned, and those things you have mentioned, how viable is it? Because like she said, when we think green skills, first of all, when we think advocacy for the planet, the climate, we don't think Nigeria. It's not something we see a lot of environmentalists champion, especially because we have economic challenges we are facing. But is it viable? Is it something that can actually put food on the table of young women and men? I just want to quickly mention that the scavengers, for instance, are doing a fantastic job. Although there are security challenges that's making governments across Nigeria ban them, but you see what they do there. They are the only ones sieving through plastics, sieving through industrial waste, sieving through, they know what to go for. And for some small ways, it actually curbs plastics in our society, because when you get them there to do that. But for that, there's no, where can one make a lot of money?
Okay, so just like you've mentioned, in terms, so when we look at these green skills, there are also the aspect of agriculture. Women and girls, women contribute a lot to our agricultural sector, and they have in some ways improved in their farming system right now, and that also contributes to their economic growth, because again they've looked for alternative ways in terms of drought, in terms of the heavy rainfall which causes flooding. They still look for ways in which they can adapt to some measures and still plant and still yield their crops and sell, which also increases their economic capability. And also in terms of waste, yes, we see the scavengers, they do their thing. But again, in the community, we could see women and girls doing this. So there are solutions, there are things that women and girls are actually doing. But the truth is that they don't have this recognition. They are not put on the spotlight to actually showcase what they do. They might just feel, oh, this is nothing. We're just doing it just to keep our environment safe. This is nothing, we're just doing it. You could see women now selling plastics, reusing plastics to do their business. You could see them going around, picking all these bottles, go back, wash them, and they sell their kunu, zobo in it, sell palm oil in it. In the market today, if you go, you want to buy a liter of palm oil, you don't see them using leathers again. They use bottles, like plastic containers. Yes, they are recycling. So they've learnt the act of to reuse, to recycle, and to reduce.
Yeah, remember when we had that conversation, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Yeah. She mentioned agriculture. Nothing is green in Nigeria right now, so and that's a sad reality. Yeah. So I'm wondering now, like, if we want to use agriculture and we're talking about going green, how can the average rural person, how can the average Nigerian woman who is a farmer, like you've explained, use that green skill? Because I'm trying to say, okay, you still tilt the ground, you'll still do certain things. The first thing that comes to my mind when we're going green, I can say, okay, where we have maybe drought, or where we're looking for water to water the plant, maybe we should be doing rain collection now that it's a rainy season. So we could have, big drums, and then say, okay, once the rain falls, it helps reduce the flood, and then we can have water during the dry season to, water the plants. But other than that, and you're the expert, I'm not, how can we diversify those green skills in agriculture? We're looking at agriculture as the next gold. We're looking at trying to get Nigeria out of the consumption level that we are and try to start exporting. And one of the good things we want to export is agriculture, agricultural product. We also have the problem, we've had it, that sometimes people that have tried to export, they get turned back because we're not meeting that international standard of export for foodstuff. So how can we marry these green skills into agriculture up to the point where we can get women exporting?
Yeah. Okay, so thank you for that question. So I would look at it from the angle of access.
Okay.
Women and girls, whether we like it or not, the inequality that women and girls face suffice at different sectors. So when we talk about agriculture, and we've agreed that women and girls contribute to the agricultural sector.
Absolutely.
We have women farmers who are doing great, but do they have access to lands? most times you find them renting lands.
Yes.
You find them working for other people,
Yeah.
or you find them plying lands of their fathers, their uncles. So do they have this access?
Okay.
When they have access to lands,
Okay.
do they have access to this to facilities to enable them farm effectively? Do they have access to fertilizers? Do they have access to seedlings? Do they have access to maybe tools that they can use on their farm? Because without this access, I don't think they'll be able to even think of expanding beyond what they know.
Which is subsistence
Yes, beyond the normal for them.
Yeah.
They might have visions, they might have dream. Okay, I want to, someday I want to see myself taking, let's just say someday I want to see myself taking it to town from the village. Like I'm now supplying to somebody in Abuja, to a big supermarket in Abuja. Like starting that small.
That small.
Yes. Before even thinking of, oh, okay, so now I'm supplying to somebody in Abuja, and this person is already thinking, oh, we can work together and supply outside the country. But do they have that skills, that green skills? Do they have this? So when we talk about adaptive measures, when we talk about them being innovative, do they have the skills? They don't, because most times even access to opportunities or access to these trainings, it's limited for women and girls,
especially in rural communities.
Yes.
So how are you taking that message there?
Okay, so what we do most times is we carry out community engagement with these women and girls. There was a time we went to the farm. We actually followed them to their farms.
Not Abuja farm, or like
no. In Benue, in Niger, no.
Because
so I get you. Yes, there are farms and there are farmlands.
Yes, kind of farm and say you're in a farm.
Yeah, no. That is like a paradise farm. So there are farms and there are farmlands.
Exactly.
So we had to follow them to their farmlands in Benue State, and we saw what these women were doing. It was beautiful. You could see that there was a farmer that mentioned, a female farmer that mentioned that her land, for a while she has noticed that the yield that she gets from the land keeps dropping. And she thought about it and tried innovative ways. She was using some weed, that's grass, that she cuts from around the farm, and also this waste from cow.
The cow dung?
Yes, the cow
Manure,
dung. Yes, she was using it. There was a way she did it. It's not like the normal just pouring on the farm. There was a way she did it. And she said after trying it for like first this season, the next season, she realized that this was working for her. And that was what she started doing. She even had to tell her fellow farmers within that they had farmlands close to each other. Oh, let's try this, let's try that. You see, she has the skills in her.
Yes.
Right.
But now we need to encourage her. We need to give her all the, develop the skills that she already has in her, empower her to, okay, so these are startup grants. Okay, what do you think you need more? Okay, this grass, are they enough for you? Or do you need to go to somebody's grass to get some? Things like that. So they might have it in them, but how do we then empower them? So we've gone to communities, we've seen what they are doing, and we've been able to encourage them and to also link them up with stakeholders within their communities. Yes.
So we must commend what the NGOs and community-based organizations are doing in regards to advocacy and empowerment, especially in the green skills. However, how can government do more in terms of policy implementation? I'm stressing implementation because when you see
lots of
when
policies.
you search, exactly, you probably will see a policy that ensures that this awareness is out there, this empowerment is even out there. What can we do, all of us do, to get this policy implementation?
Okay, so we're very good at signing policies. We're very good at coming up with policies, I think. And sometimes we don't even understand what we just signed, we're signatory to, but we just sign it so that Nigeria will be part of those who have signed. But there are policies who actually speaks to these issues. But implementation is key, as you mentioned. So, and in order to implement these policies, we need funds. There might be sectors in the policy that states, oh, we should do this, do that, do that. So what are the alternatives for women in the local communities? What are the alternatives? I can go and tell you that, please, you need to stop cutting trees. We need to stop, we need to plant trees more. We need to stop using firewood because it contributes to, yes. So what am I giving you, or what am I telling you to use? What am I making available as an alternative for you to use? When those alternatives are not accessible and are not there for a common man to use, or for these women and girls in the locality, how then do I convince them to stop using this? They need to have access to startup grants. Even if they've started something, they need to have they need to have funding to enable them push for what they've started. And also, in terms of implementing it, I feel in our activities, we need to adapt from all these policies. For example, I have an activity, like I have a project I want to do, and it's in terms of addressing climate issues. I need to look at what the policy says. What is the policy trying to achieve? From that, I can also pick from the policy. For example, okay, we are looking at how we can have everybody, we can start using renewable gas. What can I do? Or what activities? Now, how can I empower these women to achieve this thing that has been put in the policy? And because by achieving this, we're all contributing to a climate just society. Exactly. So it's for us also at the grassroots, at whatever level, to look at these policies that are there. There are beautiful things written on paper. Exactly. So we need to just implement, like actualize them. So how do I now adopt this, domesticate it to suit what I want to achieve and what would be for the, that would achieve generally as a country.
Okay, let's move away from agriculture. I want to go to something we discussed during the first segment of the program, which was the newspaper review, where we're talking about you know, some of the vessels that the government, the illegal vessels siphoning crude oil out, and then they get to burn them. And of course, some environmentalists were complaining about the pollution in the area. Nobody is new to the pollution that the South-Southeast has gone on with for the past couple of years in terms of oil spillage is affecting the aqua system, is also affecting the whole environment. When we look at a problem, I hear people say that the first thing to do when there's a problem is to create a solution. And if we're thinking of climate change, getting the climate better, a good point to start with is that region, because we see what climate deprivation has done there. Yeah. And then part of the topic, what we are talking about, is green skills. Have we, or has government not understood the relevance? Because government is saying they want to create jobs, but you have a problem, which is you need to clear this environment. Yeah. And if we're talking about going green, that for me seems like, oh, this is another job opportunity for many of the youths in that region to clean up the environment. Why are we not, or what kind of approach do you think the government should be using, NGOs should be using, people like yourself who are sensitizing, to say, look, a problem half solved, because we know that this is a gold mine. Once we can get the youth into this place to clean it up, we're sure that we're creating empowerment, and we're also, you know, cleaning up the environment. Why are we not looking at it?
Okay, so for me, there are opportunities. Like you've mentioned, this is a green skill opportunity. These are green jobs. These are where youths, young people, women and girls, this is where we can venture into to reduce the unemployment rate in Nigeria. But why are we not doing that?
My thoughts.
It's the fact of, so I think another contributor to why we are not doing that is that people are not aware. And in as much as they are aware, maybe the government are not looking at, that's not a place of interest for them. Interest also, it's another thing that plays out in this in the space also. And maybe that's not a place of interest for them. But if these opportunities are, young people, women and girls are being informed about these opportunities, and it's made accessible to them, why not? They will leverage on these opportunities. But when these opportunities are not communicated, when these opportunities are not a priority area to those at the top, so how do we, the young people, women and girls, now leverage on such opportunities?
But do they even know what it means when you say you're talking about green skills?
Yes.
I didn't. Okay. Maybe I'm not a youth.
You're a youth.
No, I'm not. I may look like a youth, but I'm above the youth age bracket. Okay. But I didn't really know what it was, because I'm feeling, and of course, we know that government alone cannot provide all the jobs.
No.
It's not possible.
Yes.
We have private investors who or even people, individuals who start up businesses on their own without government interventions, and then they're doing it. We have a young guest here, and then he's a young man, he's an environmentalist.
Okay.
I know when he came, he was talking about, biocarbon, making charcoal in a different way.
Yeah.
The lufters that they make, I know lufters come from this plant, they're like sponge, like hard sponge, and they come from the plant, and he was even saying the lufter seed have their own other benefits. This is just a young man. I was like, oh wow, there's so many things about this. And he had branded his own business.
Yeah.
He's doing it on his own, but he's talking about going to clean the Jabi Lake. Good. Remember Peter, that's his name, I think. So he was going to clean the Jabi Lake on his own.
Yeah.
And he gets all his plastic there. He goes to sell. They do all those things. Is it that Nigerian youths don't really understand? Because when I was Googling, reading about, skills and green skills, because the first one, like, okay, I know IT skills. I know this one skills. Which one is green skill again? let me educate myself.
Yeah.
But apparently, it's a vast opportunity to make a lot of money. Yeah. It's a vast opportunity that can take, but people don't know. So how can we, apart from, of course, the first answer will be, we're having a conversation now, so that's advocacy. But how do we get this into the schools? How do we get this into the primary schools, into the secondary schools, into the university, where you have a large number of youth? And we're saying this is a new millennium. The way of doing business is totally different. Yeah. We're looking at IT becoming the new black gold. We're looking at this green skills now. Yeah. There's so many opportunities that people are not seeing. How can we get this message beyond just the rural women in the farm to the large number of youths who are coming out of the university on a daily and then coming out to the job market? And there's a lot of job waiting for them.
Okay, so yesterday we had a Twitter space conversation, and we had young people on the conversation, and our speakers too were young people. And one of the speakers said something. He said, you need to equip yourself so that when opportunities come, you can leverage on it. So green skills might be new to some people, or maybe it's the term green skills.
Okay, what's the old term?
So I'm just saying maybe it's the term new skill and green skills that is new.
Yes.
But again, just like you mentioned, there was a recommendation that came out from that call that for young people who are leaving or who are in tertiary institutions, green skills, topics like this needs to be taught. And it needs to be incorporated into like a, what do they call it now? It needs to be incorporated, yes, into their curriculum, like a GST topic.
Yes.
It needs to be put there. And action-oriented courses need to be taught on climate change. Like, so let's not just be doing the theory. Let's expose them to opportunities that are there. And also social media is playing a very big part in putting out these opportunities of green skills job, or even for you to even have understanding of what green skills is. Just like the conversation we had yesterday. Young people were on the call and they were able to understand, oh, okay, this is it. And he made mention, there was one of our speaker, he made mention that he started by volunteering. You don't have to wait for a paid green skill job. You can actually start small yourself. You can start by volunteering, by just looking at it. Okay, so what can I do? And by so doing,
with the fuel cost in Nigeria today, well, that was just to crack us up a bit. But let's, because I'm wondering which Nigerian youth wants to volunteer when you have hunger on your table. You know, very so if you have to try and balance all of this.
So when I mean volunteering, you can actually use, so the internet, social media is a very great platform. And maybe we don't understand that yet, but it is a great platform that we can take our advocacy there. We don't know who is on social media. We can actually reach people. We can actually even talk to our peers. Just like you said, how can we even start from the grassroots? In secondary schools, you can form clubs. Like what we are doing, we're thinking of starting climate justice clubs in secondary schools in Niger, Natural State, and Benue State, where they have conversations about this thing, so that they start knowing about it and know that what they're actually facing, they have the solutions. They can actually work towards addressing these issues that are happening in their climate right now. So those are some ways that we can incorporate this.
Do we have a recycle place? Because I know when you watch so many, like you said, social media is a global world now, so information is at your fingertips. And I've seen people who say they make, in more developed countries, there's this woman I was watching, and then she makes a lot of money by going around through garbage bags, picking things, and she has a point where she takes it to
Sell.
and sells, as opposed to our women that, you know, they pick it up from the streets and then
Just
they're
go in
recycling
there.
it for their drinks and other things for sale, oil and stuff like that. Do we as a country, because I don't think we do, have, you know, those recycle, that's the word, a recycle plant that will say, okay, if I want to have extra income, I don't want to just be a broadcaster, I want to develop green skills. And I know that, okay, in the estate where I live, I could talk to everybody and say, you know what, don't throw away your trash, or when you throw it away, let me sort through it. And do we have that recycle plant in Nigeria where people or individuals can take things? I know there was one time they did 5,000 per state plastic bottles. Campaign, yeah, you remember? So each state was trying to make sure that they had packed up 5,000, and unfortunately they never told us what they did with it, but I know someone made money out of it. Because they packed it and then gave it to someone, and then they thought they were reading the states of 5,000, but this person is wise enough to know that that was the fastest way he was going to get plastic around Nigeria, and he did business with it. So the government itself, are we thinking, should they be thinking about having recycle plants where people, you know, multiple source of income, that someone can gather 100 or 200 over the weekend? You go to Jabi Lake, you go to where they're having picnics, there's so many places, you pick up the trash and then take it there, and then you know that you get something. Should the government also be understanding that we need to go green?
They need to.
They need to
understand that. So I think there was a time in Nyanya, just before the bridge, okay, or after the bridge when you're coming, there was a container where you go, you give them your plastics, and they give you money in return for it.
How much? Let me start doing it now.
I don't know, but now it's not functioning.
Oh,
it's not functioning.
It's not functioning.
Yes, it has been closed for a while. It has been closed for a while.
So what will happen? What was happening then? You said they weigh it?
Yes, they weigh the number, your plastic, and give you money for it. And there are organizations too
that do that. I just wanted to talk about it also. There's this young lady, I think she's in Lagos, I've forgotten her name, but they collect pure water packs, leather.
Oh, and she makes bags.
Yeah,
I saw her.
Makes bags. She makes all these table things. Yes, from them.
Yes.
So individuals are doing a lot.
Yes.
Organizations are doing a lot. But for the government, just like you said, it is key to have this plant, and by so doing, they are creating job opportunities also.
Absolutely.
And we are going green.
Well, this is a government that will take your trash, because according to research that I did, the government is in charge of trash in the local government strata. They take your trash and dump everything together. So when you said they need to be, I don't know where we can start, but we're really running out of time.
It's really sad when you see all the trash leaking everywhere, right?
The government themselves do not separate trash. They put everything together and maybe even burn it. So environmental degradation by the government, who should champion the advocacy. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sandra Jonathan, yes, Program Officer, Education as a Vaccine.
Yes.
You have made me know just one little bit, and I'm sure so many people too, about green skills. So thank you so much for being part of the program.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.